focusing on manufacturing. It's going to be delivered by Tom Leeson from our industry marketing team. So just some basic housekeeping. Please do maintain your line mute throughout the session. Make use of the hand raise or chat function for your questions and any feedback or comments you may have. We will be recording this session and sharing out to you over the next 1 to 2 weeks' time. So with that, I shall now pass this over to Tom.
Thank you, Yok. Good morning, everybody. Pleasure to be here this morning to present the industry enablement for manufacturing. So just taking a quick look at today's agenda. Start with a few introductions. We'll have a manufacturing overview from a global perspective, talk about recent trends, and then we're going to go through some of the industry solutions for which I am the product marketing owner. And then we'll talk about support and resources, and then we'll have time for Q&A. And as Yok says, if anybody has any questions, just please type them into the question box, and we'll take them at the end. Okay, so let's get started. So as Yok said, thanks for the introduction. My name's Tom Leeson. I'm a senior industry marketing strategist at Opentext, and and my role is really to promote Opentext products in the context of my industry, which is manufacturing and its supply chain. I've been at Opentext 6 years. It's a corporate role. I'm based in the UK, but before the pandemic, I was probably flying around the world one week a month. My background: I'm an engineer, trained engineer by trade. I'm a mathematician by education. I'm Opentext's representative on the US Manufacturing Leadership Council, Senior Executive Council of US manufacturers, and I'm also a visiting professor at Birmingham City University in the UK for the Centre for Brexit Studies, where I'm the subject matter expert for manufacturing, supply chain and trade. I'm a dedicated brand advocate and social advocate. I was one of the first people to join LinkedIn, so please feel free to connect or follow me in Twitter and LinkedIn. So what does an industry marketing strategist do? So I'm really responsible for 4 deliverables from a marketing perspective. I look after brand reputation or brand awareness in the context of my industry, and you see some of the things there I'm responsible for delivering. Marketing role of demand generation, supporting campaigns, producing assets for campaigns to drive marketing leads, pipeline and revenue. Sales support is a very high percentage of the work I do, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. Some of the companies I've been involved in, and then this concept of industry solutions, where we take Opentext products and we look at engineering use cases and we deliver those. So quick manufacturing overview. It's a really exciting time to be in manufacturing. I've been in it for over 40 years, and really we're in the stage of the 4th industrial revolution, which really every industrial revolution is in fact a human transformation. Some traditional jobs go away and some new jobs and new inventions come along. And within manufacturing transformation is part of the 4th industrial revolution through this thing we call Industry 4.0, or the Industrial Internet of Things. It was a term and a project that was coined by the German government around 2005 in order to digitize manufacturing within Germany, and it's been adopted around the world. And it's really about digital supply chains, smart factories, connected factories, and increasing industrial automation. And we'll talk about that during the course of the presentation. Both are driven by data. So I often say that the new currency of manufacturing, data is the currency of business. We'll talk a little bit about this thing that we call the digital twin, but particularly the digital thread and the connectivity of manufacturing and supply chain. It's a cloud-first strategy, and it uses other transformational digital technologies such as AI, big data. And really right now in the market, global disruption that we'll talk about is really driving manufacturing costs up. And then the rest of this slide is just to give you an overview of who the main countries are in terms of manufacturing output. And it's a real pleasure to be on this presentation, because if you see on the bottom picture here, Asia is ranked as 52% of global manufacturing, so it's a really important sector. So many of the slides you're going to see today may be a little bit difficult to read. They have a lot of information in them, but it's not the purpose of this presentation to actually go through every slide in every great detail. It's only really a presentation to show you what's available. This slide is a marketing slide called an industry storyboard, and it's one of the slides that I deliver to sales that gives them a general overview of what the industry is and the state of world affairs, technically, how the industry is perceived as a value, and then we look at some trends and highlight some trends, and then finally we position that for the particular account that I'm working in. So there's a number of things in here that you can read in your own time around really what's happening in the market. Another example, if we look at how information management supports the end-to-end life cycle of a manufacturer, in this case an automotive company, you see that Opentex product portfolio is around 5 clouds: content, experience, business network, supply chain, security, protection, and developer. And the developer stack is things like AI and low-code developing. So those are the main products, main business units. And from a manufacturing point of view, our strengths significantly are around selling content solutions and business network solutions, and the other solutions are less so. So I really focus a lot of my support around content and business networks. And every business, whether it be manufacturing or otherwise, has an administrative or a business role, and this is where Opentex traditionally has played really strongly. This is the part of the business, so I describe information management as being a business innovation platform, how you can optimize, automate your business processes. And traditionally, we play within human resources with tools like extended ECM for success factors or Workday. We have a whole portfolio within content that looks after legal and addresses legal. And then in finance, we have solutions both in business networks and things like vendor invoice management within the content suite. But within an engineering or manufacturing background, this is actually an illustration of a life cycle of a product, from market requirements, initial design, through to manufacturing, certification, logistics, retailing, and so it's a full life cycle. So we have a real good, strong opportunity to upsell and cross-sell within these areas. And this is just a little mapping of where the various business units can actually come together to build multi-product industry solutions, and we'll talk about some of those in the course of the presentation. So let's quick look at manufacturing trends and buying actions. So there's really three mega trends for the last couple of years that have been driving manufacturing, and it's really been in a background of great disruption ever since the beginning of the pandemic. So just on this slide here, that we see a couple of titles, a couple of headings, and these are blogs that I created in 2021. Last year, and they're still very pertinent, and also indicate here my latest predictions blog on blogs.opentext.com. And if we look at the mega trends, so really the things that have been defined by the pandemic, as the future of work is going to be increasingly remote and increasingly automated. Within the supply chain, there's great disruption in the supply chain, so adaptive supply chain is important, and ever growing as the role of sustainability is becoming more important in manufacturing. So from a content point of view and from a future of work point of view, manufacturing digital transformation has really been accelerated by the pandemic, and there's lots of proof points for that. So remote working is going to be the new normal, and within that raises new issues around security and compliance, and that's a strong play for Opentext. We're going to see more of the smart factory, and automation, and the rise of the digital worker. And we'll be accelerating the digital experience within manufacturing. And I'll talk about the digital twin and the digital thread. And then in supply chain, the new normal here is disruption. And it's not only the pandemic. Originally, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, when we talked about disruption, we were really thinking relating to climate change and the experiences of earthquakes and tsunamis and the like, breaking down the supply chain. But now we see that it's geopolitical, it's conflict through the current state of affairs in the Ukraine, and it's also health as well. So visibility means resilience. We didn't really learn about our supply chains much from the pandemic. All we got was confirmation. For years, manufacturers have known that the supply chains are complex, multi-tiered supply chains, and visibility between those layers has always been difficult. So the pandemic was really a confirmation of a problem, and it really forced people into action to do something about it. And then around sustainability, this is a quote from Forrester. So corporate social responsibility and environmental and social governance is no longer a paragraph on a manufacturer's website, or just a tick in the box. Sustainability and climate change is becoming serious, both by customers, investors, and governments around the world as we move towards carbon neutrality in 2050. So the green agenda is a new normal we can take into consideration and play into as well. So we'll be looking at net zero carbon, exponential growth of electric vehicles, exponential growth of the smart world, traceability within green supply chains will become legislation through increasing regulation. So that puts me to my marketing strategy, which I call the 3x3 focus. I've talked a little bit about the three trends. Manufacturing is quite a widespread subsector, and I'm only a force of one. I'm a single person. So we concentrate and focus on automotive, industrial manufacturing, and high tech. The big driver, of course, within automotive is the move to connected, autonomous, shared and electric vehicles, and the adoption of Industry 4.0 across manufacturing sites. For example, Volkswagen worldwide have 155 manufacturing sites, and currently today around 85 of those are actually connected through the Internet of Things. We'll move increasingly more to industrial manufacturers. Will become more industrial automation companies, already well defined. And their data monetization and making business and profit from data as opposed to hardware is going to be increasing and will be the main source of revenue for industrial manufacturing companies in the future. And then high tech, I haven't mentioned the semiconductor chip disruption yet, but it's becoming an increasingly important sector. And it's seen an exponential growth in demand for chipsets, be those for automotive, industrial manufacturing, for technologies like AI and cloud and edge. So it becomes increasingly important. And then my 3 proof points are really around the management consultants, the analysts, and the manufacturers themselves. Regularly talking to manufacturers. So definite proof that digital transformation in manufacturing is accelerating. Investment is near the top investment or among CEOs and CIOs. IDC expect around $6 trillion to be spent on digital transformation in manufacturing by 2025. And the Manufacturing Leadership Council, who do an annual survey, see growth in remote working and shop floor automation. A recent survey, 73% of their members said they would invest in that. They've seen a 53% of their members are saying that they're increasing their investment in digital transformation. And 42% have said that they continue to invest in industry automation, manufacturing automation. So we see there the trends are well defined. So this is just a quick look at what our industry strategists call the go-to-market framework. If you like, this is my marketing plan on a page. You'll see my industry segments, my industry drivers relate to the trends, and then around this area here, you see the industry solution products and use cases. Again, very small to see, but you can peruse it at your leisure when you receive the slides. So this really keeps me on track on a quarter-by-quarter basis, so that we can grow the business and industry can grow the support. So from the previous slide, there was one area around financial year 22 growth initiatives. We call them focus on the top, industry solutions, and industry community. So around focus on the top, I'm responsible for 17 of the top 100 clients within Opentex. 17 of those are manufacturing, and they're the large clients like Stellantis, GM, Ford, Intel, Cisco, Siemens are good examples. I also carry a responsibility for supporting the sales force on 17 of the top 50 Gartner rated supply chains. And then I also have responsibility for 7 of them, what we call the international T30, which is essentially your region in Asia Pacific and other and some emerging regions. And I'm responsible for the accounts of 7 of those accounts, including the likes of Toyota and Hyundai. Industry solutions there are just listed. You're going to see those. You're going to see those titles again and again in this presentation. And then around community growth, I'm responsible for web pages for industry and industry solutions. I run an industry community, and we can talk. I'll talk with York to understand how perhaps some of the people here on this call, if they're interested, can join that. And I use Twitter and LinkedIn daily for social influencing and brand advocacy. So be sure to track me down and follow me in both those social medias. So let's get into the industry solutions and some overviews. The coming slides you're going to see are selective slides from what we call the industry solution marketing kits. They're available online, and we'll talk about how you access them later. So I've taken some examples that just describe the solutions so that we can follow up on that. So remote access for field workers. This is an industry solution that started in energy. It was an idea from the energy utility sector that I was able to pivot and use within manufacturing. And it's really how do manufacturing field workers like maintenance and service and installation engineers know that they're working to the right revision of documentation and assets in the field. Traditionally, these would be put in manuals and they would be distributed in by manuals, and they were literally out of date the moment they were shipped, because really manual processes can't keep up with that. So really this is an application of Content Suite with the cloud application core and core signature. So you see here in this example slide, we talk about what the story is, why does it matter, what's the pain, and really gives an overview of if we already have customers and how those reference customers can help us sell. So this was an original idea, as I mentioned, in engineering. Utility company was PG&E, Canadian, I believe. They have had some problems in the past through regulation, where they failed audits and regulation because their data hasn't been up to date, and that can incur them fines. And that's just an example of how this application can run. So PG&E currently have 9,000 seats of core share running this application. And this is an example of what we call the overview of the marketing kit. This is if you like, a cheat sheet that gives you all the major, summarizes all the major components of the solution. So if you see here, we have target personas, we have key buying agendas, we talk about the business pain, the business benefit, the elevator pitch, which is a quick introduction. So be digital first by communicating field documentation in real time for field personnel efficiency while driving productivity through increased overall equipment effectiveness. So the number one challenge for manufacturers is getting the maximum amount of uptime from the machines that they've invested in. So every time a machine goes down for repair, then it's not making money, it's costing money. So solution components are explained there, key competitors, and whether we have any customer references. And then we use that material to build the various aspects of customer presentations, videos, marketing campaigns, solution overviews. So this is, in each solution, I'm just going to highlight a few slides. So this is an application which really starts in Content Suite or Extended DCM or Documentum, and it provides a real-time bi-directional synchronization through core share to external workers and potentially suppliers. So how do you deliver critical content to your personnel? So this is an example of a four-step process. So the major groups that are involved in maybe a package of service or maintenance work or installation work supporting field workers use Content Suite, Extended ECM, and alternatively mobile server to collate the information that goes into the manuals that the people in the field actually need, and we deliver that on any platform, any mobile platform through core share, and that makes sure that both internal people, so it could be factory to factory, or external people, which could be other people in the field maintaining factory or field machinery to have the right information at the right time. So when we're prospecting for customers with this solution, this is something that we try to include in the marketing kit. So what's the prospecting questions to add? And again, in your own time, you can review these, but they help you with the qualification to look for opportunity. And if you look at one of the previous slides, we identify who the target personas are. And really the benefits of core share, which is the product itself, but it's actually delivered in the context of an industry solution called remote access for field workers. The benefits are stated here. So streamlined content collaboration from behind the firewall into the cloud first approach, provides real-time one version of the truth. So you're using the right documentation at the right time. It has very high enterprise grade security, so it's very secure to work in the field, easy to use. It carries an audit trail, so its auditability and compliance is strong, and it can be integrated with Opentext core signature, which means that procedures, standard operating procedures, can be signed off in real time electronically. And then finally, just on this solution, a little insight of more documentation that we provide in terms of the marketing plan. So we look at the customer journey of discovery, learn, try, buy, and for each step, we provide links to support content that helps you execute your sales process. So the next solution, Safe Workplace Playbook Management, an alternative slide to share, really talks about the problem, the pain, and how we facilitate a solution. So what is a safe workplace playbook? It's a standard operating procedure. At the beginning of the pandemic, when a lot of manufacturing was forced to close down in order to avoid infection, but at the same time, a lot of manufacturing was asked to pivot in order to produce medical device equipment. So examples of that are GM and Ford were actually made by the US government at the time to actually start to produce ventilator machines. We had the same initiative in the UK, and I'm sure we had similar initiatives around the world. So you couldn't have staff on the shop floor working closely together as we have done traditionally. If you think of people working on an automotive assembly line because of the spread of infection, as we get towards, so what was manufacturing to do? As a member of the Manufacturing Leadership Council, I used to attend weekly COVID town hall calls where the manufacturers would discuss how they were breaking new ground. They didn't have a lot of experience of this, and they started to write procedures in order to have ways of working, ways of attending work, ways of behaving on the shop floor. And these are typically done in Word documents, distributing them through email, perhaps uncontrolled, perhaps difficult to control. And what we see here on the left, called the Smart Playbook, this was produced by Magna, the automotive and electronics contract manufacturing organization. Also the automotive supplier Lear Corporation, who make automotive seats. These companies produced these standard operating documents, and they actually shared them on the internet for the benefit of the manufacturing community. The Lear Corporation example was downloaded 22,000 times during the pandemic to assist other manufacturers to put these procedures in place. So with safe working playbooks, what we've done is we've we've actually taken that playbook and working with a partner, Kinematic in Ireland. They've emulated that playbook and that industry solution in the context of Content Suite and Core. And if I just digress for a second, I just want to play a short video that gives you an indication of what that's about. So sorry, this is a little bit disjointed, but I just received this morning, and I think it would be something good to share. Organization. Sorry, just give me a second. Boop, boop. Sorry for the disjointed approach, but I think it will be worth it. So I'm just going to play this for a few minutes, just to give you an insight as to what this, what the application does.
Yeah, Tom, there's no sound coming through. When you share your desktop, you need to activate the desktop sound. So you probably need to reshare your session again. At the very top, it says to share your actual desktop sound. So.
Book, I don't think Tom got it. Tom, can you hear us?
Yeah, sorry, is it not working?
The sound is not working.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Tom, what you'll need to do is when you share your desktop at the very top, there's an option to share your desktop sound as well.
Okay. Well, just for I only got this 15 minutes before the meeting, and I thought it would be good to share. But what I'll do is I'll actually share it separately. Otherwise, we're going to take too much time in the presentation. So apologies for that. It is a live presentation, going back to the good old days of doing live demos. So let's go back to the presentation. And thanks for your patience. And again, another example for this solution, the key questions that you might ask. So this is part of we also have sales enablement as part of the marketing kit. So we really provide a lot of information to back up your sales potential and your sales capabilities. And again, just an example of what we call the messaging platform with all the key, almost like a cheat sheet, again, target personas, business benefits, solution components, etc. And a really strong point to take from this solution is lots of people like Adobe, SAP, Salesforce, Microsoft have all focused on getting back to the office and procedures and recommendations for returning to the office, not returning to work, not returning to the shop floor. And the only real competitor I've been able to find to this solution is a very small contribution from ServiceNow. So we pretty much have a unique selling point here, and I just wanted to make that point. And again, just what we call a content map to help you find the relevant solutions. The next solution, the two previous solutions that I talked about were really content, based on content with additional core services. This application, Compliant E-Invoicing for Global Manufacturing by Opentext, is a business network solution based on business network around active orders, active invoice, EDI, and managed services. So really what we're seeing within the world as it becomes digitized, the concept of e-invoicing and e-invoicing is being mandated across 140 countries around the world around tax auditability for invoice payments. It's different around the world. So we see here, if we look at the top 10 manufacturing hubs, you can see that there's different regulations in different formats. But really, in a global business, the accelerated state of what people are doing business and as they grow business into new markets and the regulations and mandates that they have to respond to is no longer capable to be maintained by human resources. So the great opportunity for us is that these have been made electronic. For example, we have one German automotive customer who is processing 1 million invoices a day. So you can see the challenge, but you can also see the opportunity. And again, key questions to ask helps you with your prospect and your sales process. And again, you're getting familiar with these slides as well. Another solution, if you go right back to the very first trend slide that I showed around the adaptive supply chain visibility, supply chain resilience, the digitization of the supply chain is becoming more and more influenced by the Internet of Things. And the trend moving forward is the connectivity between the smart factory and the smart and intelligent connected digital supply chain. So within the boundaries of your factory, there's literally thousands of assets that need to be efficiently run. The way they're managed today in terms of inventory isn't really digital enough. So you have assets getting lost, you get assets being mislaid, you have assets in the production process that you don't know where they are. The customer has no visibility of when the assets or their product is going to be delivered to them. And just one simple example, if you take the concepts of pallets which distribute product around the factory, the US says that lost or misplaced pallets cost between $750 million and $1 billion a year. So that's an investment that's a wasted investment that companies have to make. So there's great savings to be made by giving these assets intelligence. So as we move through the smart factory, lots of sensors, RFID codes, take that information and actually track where the asset is in the business, and then report on where the information is in the business at any real time, and then be able to provide that information either internally or externally to the customer through the Internet of Things and through mobile devices. And then on a complementary side, you also have the concept of shipment track and trace. So again, by adding intelligence to either your asset or your shipment, you can track where it is in real time. And the next step is, while you're tracking it in real time, you can monitor it in real time. You can look at the characteristics on scale. So, for example, if you're using a pump within a factory, but there's 150 of those factories all using those pumps, you can gather that data in a huge data lake, and you can look at the characteristics, and you can look for anomalies in that data that may suggest that somewhere one of these pumps or many of these pumps are not performing properly, possibility of breakdown. And as I mentioned before, the real winner for manufacturing is to keep machines running, if possible, 24/7. And you can build up characteristics, gather that data, derive insight from it, and then apply it in the context of predictive or proactive active maintenance, and only address materials and assets when you need to, rather than the traditional way of stopping the machine to have routine, regular maintenance done on a machine, whether it needs it or not. So this is all about increasing efficiency and throughput and effective uptime of components. And then once again, just an overview of what's available to support that solution. And that really brings us to really talking about more information, how you get more information, how you get more support. We will discuss that probably after the presentation. A lot of the information currently now is being designed to be internal to Opentext, and then I'll discuss with York how we actually share this information. So sorry for the glitch a little earlier on. I thought the video would be useful. I will post the video as well, and you can look at it in your own time. It's not quite finished yet, but I'll still share it. And with that, I'd like to thank you for your time, and I'm just going to open the floor for questions.
Thank you, Tom. Does anyone has any comments, questions for Tom?
Was it interesting? Was it useful? Do I have an audience in Asia Pac at 52% of the world's manufacturing output? It's an important region for Opentext, and I would love the opportunity to work with you people and support you.
Questions, comments? Yeah, feel free to unmute yourself if you want to pose any thoughts to Tom.
So, I mean, I think we have 15 minutes left for questions, or alternatively, we can give you 15 minutes of your day back. As I say, it's been a pleasure to present to you. My email is here, but also you can coordinate your connection to me through York as well. But I still have time for questions if anybody or observations. Does anybody have experience of the problems that these solutions address? I sincerely hope so.
Yeah, I guess today's session's been very informative and probably a lot to for the attendees
appreciate
to absorb and have a time to think about it a bit more. Once the recording and the slides are shared, they will be able to review again. And if they come back with any questions, I will definitely bring forth to you, Tom.
Okay.
Yeah. If anyone else wants to have more further information on the solutions that's been discussed today, feel free to reach out to myself, Tom, or your local partner manager for more information. With that, thank you for your time. Thank you, Tom, for being up so early in the morning.
It's a pleasure.
I guess now it's about 3:16 a.m. Your time where you
That's
are now.
right.
So thank you very much.
No problem.
Take care, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. It's a pleasure to present to you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye for now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.